Hello everybody, and welcome to the Omni Profit Etsy Fee and Profit Calculator Excel template. Thank you so much for purchasing, and we're excited to walk through it with you. First thing we'll notice here on the bottom left is that we are in the single product tab. So this is where we'll be simulating our fees and pricing for just a single item. We'll then look at the multi-product tab where we'll go through adding multiple products at the same time. So what we'll do next is look at the resources tab. So this will also serve as instructions and provide us with some additional resources to get more educated on how Etsy fees and advertising works. We can see that we should only be editing cells that are yellow, and that we can also hover over cells to get a more detailed explanation of each term. So to run through our first example, we'll first look at the annual revenue tab and we'll hover over it, and we can see that we should be selecting that our revenue is either greater than or less than $10,000 because this will impact how much Etsy will be charging us for offsite ads. We'll explain offsite ads in just a few minutes. So we'll say we're a smaller shop and we're doing less than $10,000 annually. We'll then say that we are selling customized bottle openers, and we're going to be charging $20 for these bottle openers. So the item price is what we are charging. The shipping price is also what we're charging for shipping. So we can say we're going to charge the customer $2 for shipping, or we can say that we're not going to charge anything and we'll give them free shipping. Shipping cost, this is what it's going to cost us to send the item to the customer. So we'll say it's a smaller item and it's going to cost us about $2.50 on average. The item cost, so there's two ways you can look at this. Number one, you can assume that this is just your total cost of the item, so factoring in all of your materials and all the different components of the product, and you can say the total item cost is going to be $7, or you can look at the item cost as just the single primary component of the item, which in this case we'll say for the bottle opener, the handle. So we'll say the handle itself costs $5, but we can say that the material, so the metal bottle opener piece, that's going to cost another $1, and then we'll say that we are also including a custom tag on it, which will cost us another $1. So the labor cost, this is the cost to assemble the item. So that you can look at this as if what you value your time at and how long it takes you to assemble the item, or if you have an employee or two, how long it takes them to assemble the item. And we'll say it's pretty easy to put this together. It's only going to cost us $1 in labor. Packaging cost. So this is what it's going to cost you to package the item. So if you're throwing this in like a bubble poly mailer bag, we'll say it's going to cost us 75 cents for the bag itself. Estimated tax rate. So this is going to vary based on your state. I just put a 6% tax rate, but feel free to put in whatever you think is most relevant, and obviously consult an accountant or a CPA for tax advice. Next is advertising. So for advertising, we have 3 different options, or really 2 options, but the first is just assume we're not going to run any ads. The next 2 primary options are either going to be offsite ads or Etsy ads. So offsite ads, these are ads that you opt in for that Etsy themselves will run automatically. So you don't have to touch anything. They'll bring traffic to your listings, but they're going to charge you anywhere from 12 to 15% depending on what your annual revenue is. So in our example, for offsite ads, we're doing less than $10,000 in annual revenue. So that means that Etsy will be charging us 15% for any sale they generate for us. If we're doing greater than $10,000 in annual revenue, Etsy will charge us 12% for any sale they're generating for us. We'll flip this back to less than $10,000. Then we can also say we're going to do Etsy ads, which is advertising that we're running ourselves through the Etsy platform. And we can then enter in our estimated advertising cost of sale if we're doing Etsy ads. So this is just going to be the percent of your sales that you are spending, or your ad spend as a percent of total revenue. So if it costs us $1 in advertising fees to generate $10 in revenue, our advertising cost of sale is about 10%. We can then select our payment method, which this is what the customer will be selecting. But the purpose of having these two options here is to simulate what your fees and profit will look like based on different customer selections. Last thing we'll do here is select our discount type. So we have 4 different discount types: none, percent off, fixed amount off, and free standard shipping. So we'll say we're going to give the customer a certain percent off, and that percent off is going to be 10%. We can see how that's changing our profit margin here. What happens if we do 20%? Our profit margin is getting pretty low, so we may want to keep this around 10%. We can also experiment with a fixed amount off and say we're just going to give them $3 off, or we'll give them $1.50 off, and we can then see the profit impact. And if we go over to the profit margin table, this will give us a detailed breakdown of all of our different fees. So we can see our total revenue less our discount. We can see the listing fee, the shipping and transaction fee, payment processing, etc., all of which will dynamically adjust based on your inputs in yellow. We can see total costs and then our net profit and net profit margin. And that's it for the single product calculator. Let's jump over to the multi-product calculator next. Same concept here. We're going to be editing everything in yellow, and also that's alternating yellow and white. We are not going to be touching anything that's in white, that's alternating in white or gray per our instructions here. So we'll say we are doing less than $10,000 annually. Tax is 6%. We want to see what it's going to look like if we're running advertising ourselves and we're pretty efficient. It's only costing us 7.5%. Customer is going to do Etsy payment, and then we're going to do a standard percent off of 10%. So one thing I'll note here, we'll be filling out both values. Don't feel like you need to zero one out if you have the opposite selected. So you can have both filled out, but we'll pull from whatever value based on your selection of the discount type. So if we're selecting percent off, we're not going to touch or factor in the fixed amount off value into our calculations. If we have the fixed amount off selected, we are not going to factor in your percent off into your calculations. We are only going to factor in the fixed amount off. We'll go back to percent off, and we can now scroll down to our table, and we can see that we have our bottle opener and a few other items pre-filled. So we'll say we're going to experiment with some different pricing, different costs for the second scenario, and we'll say we're actually going to be charging $25 for our bottle opener, and we are going to charge $5 for shipping. We're offering 10% off, so that's a $2.50 discount. So our total revenue less our discount is $27.50. We can also see here that, again, we're not supposed to be touching the yellow and gray cells. So if we accidentally fill in a value, and we can see we have a pretty complex calculation going into this. If we accidentally fill in one of these values, Omni Profit will warn you that you should not be changing this. But if you want to override it, you can, and you can go ahead and then change that value to $5. So again, not recommended, but there may be a scenario where you want to test some things out, so feel free. We'll give you that warning just in case. So we will see our full fee breakdown under the Etsy fees section here. And then our total fees for this item are $4.71. We now have our other costs. So these are in yellow, alternating yellow and white. So we'll be editing these values, and we'll say the item cost is actually going to cost us $5.50. And to ship this to the customer, it's going to cost us $2.50. For the item cost, this is for the handle in the bottle opener. For the material cost, we'll assume that this is still the metal bottle opener piece, which is actually going to be $1.50. Our label that we're going to be attaching to the bottle opener is 50 cents, and it's actually a little bit more complex to assemble, so our labor is going to be $1.50. And then packaging, so the cost to package the item, that's still going to be 75 cents. So based on the tax rate we have here, our tax is going to be $1.65, which brings our total cost to $13.90, and then we've got a nice profit margin of $32.32. We can go ahead and fill in additional items as we please. And on the last tab here, we can see this is the Etsy fee table. So you're not going to touch these. These are just the data points that we're referencing for the complex and dynamic calculations that are built into the template. That's it for the Omni Profit Calculator. Feel free to shoot over any questions through Etsy directly or on our website at omniprofitcalculator.com. And we hope you enjoy.